You're listening to the bravest show on radio. Hit subscribe anywhere you get your shows and never miss an episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in and welcome aboard.
You're listening to The Matthew Dark Show, where truth is the only language spoken and Jesus is the only Lord served.
Democrat voter, holy cow, are you looking for a refund? Because what was promised, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime. Now here's your host. Take it away, Matthew.
Ladies and gentlemen, holy cow and wow, thank you so much for joining. This is the Matthew Dark Show, and however you join us, we thank you. Now remember, hit subscribe everywhere you get your shows. Never miss an episode. Folks, the moment is upon us. We're 35 days away from Election Day. And the question is this. Is you and your family, are you prepared for the fork in the road that's coming? I say regardless, we need cultural shock. We need change in this communities. But are you preparing and positioning your family for that? That's number one. And then how about this? What are you willing to do? What active role are you playing in preserving the Republic come November 5, 2024? And if you're needing sort of a shimmy sent up the spine, this is a great episode to say, okay, where can I plug in? I want to introduce my guest. So good to have him. Known him now for a while, a true servant, a bond servant of the Lord. I'm going to go out there and declare that upon you. A lot of the New Testament guys running around, and that's how they declared themselves. It's Jimmy Graham, retired U.S. Navy SEAL, founder, CEO, of course, of Able Shepherd. It's ableshepherd.com. I want to welcome in and thank you, sir. How are you today?
I'm great, brother. How you doing?
Well, it's so good to have you. I'm great. I'm fantastic. I say this every day. It's so good to be, for such a time like this, to be positioned and involved and ready to take what comes next from the enemy, because there's no doubt we're being bombarded. Just bring us up to speed. What is Able Shepherd right now? What's their mission focus like now? Because you got an intense environment, which is exactly why you need Able Shepherd. This is what the time's called for. Go ahead and just give people a little flavor of what is buzzing around Able Shepherd right now.
Yeah, so, my background, SEAL teams, then CIA, protective officer overseas for GRS, then become a dad. You launch into something like this thinking it's going to go one way. Didn't go that way, thinking it was going to be military law enforcement training the elite. Quickly switched to no, there's a bunch of moms and dads out there, their priority is protecting their kids, and I have a skill set that could help them with that. So I launch into an endeavor saying I'm going to pursue the hearts of men, make them strong and make them protectors, and then go protect kids. But then I run into a problem is that most men, I've seen a lot of men don't believe they're men. Okay, now we got work to do, right? So now we go in there and say there's things that are more important than this tactics things to get you healthy in order to come back to present you to my kids. Like if you're a really bad example, I don't care if you're a SEAL buddy of mine, I don't care if you're a police officer, if you're a bad example, you'll never meet my son because it's my job to present healthy. So that's exactly where we're at right now. We are able means capable. Shepherd to me means teacher and leader and protector. Well, teaching what? Teaching right, not wrong, right meaning righteous, leading people where? To heaven, not hell. And then I say the protect part would be protecting from what? And I would say destruction, and I mean that, and I mean mentally and physically and spiritually. But really, when you spend a lot of time in that room, you realize spiritual needs to be first.
Yeah.
Nothing more important. So it is spiritually and protecting your child's mental well-being. And then that physical protection is last. Like you're like, wait a minute, but I got to protect. Correct. But it's very likely you'll never draw a gun and protect you. If you need to do it, you need to know how. But if we're being honest here, that is the order.
Oh my, that is so rich and good, because see, what was just on my mind all weekend is how are parents that are not tapped into the Spirit, parenting biblically, parenting with these children are given. How are they discerning this attack on their children? So you're absolutely right. That spiritual attack, that icky stuff that they're getting at school, the stuff that the friends saying, the Taylor Swift stuff, all these things, have we equipped them to filter that biblically and with the power of the Holy Spirit? That's the question. You just nailed it. Yeah, the gun under the bed, that's tucked in between the mattresses. It might never come out, but you're going to ask your children to rebuke the enemy on a daily basis. And so you're so good there. So we're in families. I want to talk about, because when I hear Able Shepherd, I hear family first. I feel righteousness. I hear God. But our culture's gone, the other way. Babylon type style. I mean, we have some really stuff. Just give us a flavor of how this has been met in the culture with such a worldly, secular, no guns, no violence, everybody's welcome, just sort of this fake reality that they're presenting to kids. I just wonder how much of that are you interacting with on a daily basis, where your mission is being fought by truly the enemy, and it's this secular world that parents have sort of succumbed to.
Yes. It's funny. I've got all these sayings called grand family sayings. And then quickly I realized men need them. So it's not for kids, it's for all of us. Right. And what came to my mind was not in charge of them. I'm in charge of me. Like, this must happen. My Christian buddies are like, Jimmy, this can't happen. I say, it must happen. There's actually a book about it. You should read it. It's called the Bible. This is going to happen. What am I in charge of? I'm in charge of me. What am I going to be doing while it happens? I choose to take care of one another, right? From John, love one another. Well, what if the times are really bad? Same command, brother. That's the deal. So what does that look like? People say, well, we don't battle flesh and blood. It's the prince of darkness and principalities. You can't aim at a principality. Like, they manifest in flesh and blood.
Right.
So yes, we need to understand, if you're like me and you're a bit stubborn, people say, you made it through SEAL training, you must be tough. I'm like, I'm stubborn. Like, I'm just really stubborn. But what are you going to be stubborn about? You're trying to teach your kids good. Well, what does that mean? Or do what's right. Well, what does that mean? Around here, good equals godly and right equals righteous. That's what the words actually mean. Like, goodbye used to mean God be with ye, like good be godly. So if they understand that, and I've told people 5 times this week, the best weapon you can give your children is a healthy self-esteem, right?
Yes.
Know who they are and whose they are. And if you understand what's really going on here, it should tick you off that you're being manipulated. And I'm like, I don't like being manipulated, so I'm going to go do good. What does that mean? Do something godly. I say there's a war of good and evil. Anytime you do something good, it tips the scales towards good. So now you've seen behind the curtain, you've seen the guy pulling the levers and all that. It makes you a little mad and say, you know what? Your lies don't live in me. Check this out. And you go do something.
Amen. We're taking action, and we're doing it all to the glory of God. I love that. Our guest is Jimmy Graham, of course, Abel Shepherd, abelshepard.com. And we were talking, and you told me about an experience that you took 5 men out to the wilderness. This was a find yourself, come to God moment, be alone with him. Just when you told me that, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Just give us a little flavor of what that was like for those men.
It hasn't stopped. So this was a couple weeks. It was actually 5 days. So it was 17 men.
Wow.
So 17 men for 5 days. And right in the middle on Wednesday, you can't make this up. The Wednesday was on September 11th. That's when they took off. We had packs. We taught them spiritual journaling and just, being still and impulsive and just writing and capturing and all this stuff. So taught them spiritual journaling. And then I raised funds. This is the second one. We did one last year. I have 20 backpacks. I have 20 with a cot, with a sleeping bag, with everything. And it's like, your father wants to speak to you in those mountains. He said to me, we'll see you tomorrow, right? So they're fasting, they're quiet, they go out with emergency radio, all this stuff. And they just went out there and spoke to God, collectively for an entire week. But one day was just one-on-one, right? And most men haven't spent the night by themselves in the mountains. And then we saw a bear, we saw mountain lions. There's an element of danger. Well, that's exactly my frequency, brother. That's when I hear from God. Like, if I get away and there's an element of danger, my pen won't stop. So we just did that. And the guys, to a man, they're still on fire. It's not like, hey, Monday came and I forgot it all. Though there's some changes going on, and it's fantastic. I highly recommend it.
Holy cow, it does. That prompts change. And how do you go back after an experience like that once you've really gotten that close to the Father? But that's that conviction. We're trying to tap that into as many men as possible, because men leading their families, leading in the church is unstoppable. That's been proven before. It's when the men slipping back and it's like, well, I don't want to say anything. So this is that message to those men. I want to talk about the books. The children's book, you wrote this with your daughter. Because see, you know what? We're reading a lot in school. I've got 6-year-old, 8-year-old, and it is, boy, when you can read and connect with your child, whether that's biblical or some kind of Christian teaching, but it's something that's encompassing, what are we doing here? Boy, you really can connect. Tell us about the book, the kids' book, and then I want to move into this other one, to The Return of Man.
Yeah, that was I'm finishing up a book right now. It will be my first, called The Return of Man. But then while I'm at a father, daddy-daughter retreat, it was like it was a church deal with another church, just a great group of guys that invited me. And we're in our cots. Mine's a little lower. I wake up early. I'm just spend some time with God. And I look up and my daughter's looking at me and she says, "What are you doing?" So I'm talking to God. She goes, "Well, what are you talking about?" It's like, "I think he wants me to write a book." "Well, what's it called?" how do you love a fish? She goes, what does that mean? I go, I got a vision of a mom and a daughter walking through a pet store, and the daughter says, can I have a fish? She goes, well, what would you do with it? And then you have a dialogue back and forth. Well, I'd take it to school. I think you could sleep on my pillow. I'd give it some sandwich. It's like, well, fish wouldn't survive. You need water, you need this, you need that. And at the very end, there's a fish bowl, and the little girl's kissing the fish bowl. The fish is inside kissing back. And it says, how do you love a fish? According to its needs. And she goes, well, what does that mean? It's like, I think God's telling me how to love your mom better. Right. So guys get into the whole, well, what's wrong with her? This just doesn't make sense. Like, and vice versa, by the way. But a message on loving others according to their needs, not your needs, not their wants, their needs, but what do they need? And it doesn't have to make sense. Right. So there's some prompting questions in a Bible verse that talks about that. And I've just read too many books to my kids where I'm like, we're together. I'm putting you to bed. I'm reading Goodnight Moon, and there was a missed opportunity to teach you something. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And you know, from the living word of God, if you touch that Bible verse that week, like the next day, it will change. This will be different every single time. And now we can be real and say, like, Sarah, who's somebody that we could love better according to their needs? What would their needs be? What are your needs? Like all that. And now you're getting into some good stuff, and there's no end once you go down that road.
This is leading a godly family. And that's what we're called to do. That is so good. So the thing that, I guess the motivation to do our part for November is because there is family. You know, the baby boomer times, the glory days of the 1950s, where dad could get a job, mom could stay home and raise 6 kids, and you'd get a less demonic education, and you'd grow your own food. Boy, those days feel like a long time ago. And we feel like the wrong direction in November can make them even further away. In fact, maybe make those kind of American days disappear. And again, this isn't, oh my goodness, we know that the paradise is coming, and this is maybe something that we have to endure and lead with grace as we go through some really tough times. But I guess just sort of give us your hope for America as we move into, because I don't think I'm Chicken Little, but I feel like the wrong route in November really takes us to a place of maybe no return. I don't know that you get another shot to undo this. And so, but we're not going to stop until November 6th when they tell us you lost. I mean, it's full steam.
Right.
What keeps you excited right now as you sort of barrel down the, changes coming in America?
You know, you said it earlier, is what an honor to be, selected for a time such as this.
Right.
You know, it's like I had a woman, her name's Sharcy Russell. She's amazing. And she looked me in the eyes one day. This is years and years ago. And I'm just doing this stuff. And I'm just a guy trying to make it from breakfast to dinner, just like everybody else, loving on my kids and doing all that. I spent a lot of time away from home and in other countries, serving our country. And I just love being a dad, right? I don't just represent me. I feel like I'm carrying the torch for the guys that aren't alive to have kids, grandkids, right? So I must do better. I must be, I asked the pastors not to be a jerk, but I was like, why did Jesus come? Like, why did the creator of the universe come to earth? Why did he die? Why was he born? And people say, save our soul. I said, right. But he said 5 words when Pontius Pilate, 5 words. This is why I was born. This is actually why I came, to testify to the truth. That's exactly our lives, if we want to be like Christ, should be a testimony to the truth. Like, not just my words, but everything about me should be a testament to the truth. So when you realize your place, especially men, your place in the action adventure that is your life. And right now, heading into November, it seems like an underdog story, but something written in you, Matt, I know you, loves that. I love the underdog story. There wasn't a chance. And then God showed up, and all of a sudden he won. Like, that's the deal. Like, he's going to come in and go like that, and the scoreboard's going to change.
That's right.
But right now, because he loves us, he's letting us get points on the board. He's like, Jimmy, go get points on the board. See how that feels. When you save, I just did it. I just threw 2 more actually, like last week. It's like, we just saved a man into the kingdom for eternity. And I had a hand in that, and I handed glory to God, right? People try to clutch glory and they die, it devours them. We do get to touch glory, but hand it quick, give it up, and honor sticks to us. And men are made for honor. When they realize the truth that it's your job to defend your family, physically and mentally and spiritually, it's your job to do that. And that was, given to you by God as a gift. You step into that and you're like, it's ours to plant, it's his to grow. It's not ours to win, it's ours to, I tell my kids this, what I say, it's not our job to save the world. It's already been done. It's our job to try, right? The results are up to him, and there's honor in that. And men love it once you say true words out loud.
That is so good. And I think a lot of men are this close to breaking out of that.
Yes, I feel it.
You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, let's do this. And that's why, as I one of my biggest, what I never want to be accused of is if somebody was just watching me from afar and I didn't know they were watching, or I was on video, could they tell I was a Christian? Could they tell, by the way I was carrying myself? And so, that's what we got to give that back away. And giving that away is not like, oh, good, well, I am saved and we're just holding on to the bitter. No, do you have 5 minutes? Because I was, but God, and now. Do you have a story like that? And that's what we're talking about, because men want to get on fire. It's just sometimes, well, yeah, but the bills, yeah, but the kids, yeah, but my wife, yeah, but. No. You need breakthrough, because all those things are now the gifts of the Lord in the right perspective. Gosh, and I just say this, and then I want to get it back to you. One of the greatest gifts the Lord can give you, it's not like abundance of fortune and this great health how about just a change in perspective in your situation that you thought was despair, and all of a sudden, holy cow, there's a way out of this, Lord. And then sometimes that's all we need as men, just that clarity on takes brotherhood, takes other Christian men saying, hey, I'm about to make some poor choices. Help me get back into the fellowship and do it. So let's then look beyond this. We're talking about books coming out. We're talking about leading men to Christ. We're talking about men leading their family. Give me your give me your grade on the culture. Do you think we can turn it? Do you think we can turn it in time? I guess is what I'm saying. Do you feel it out there? I mean, every time I'm like, okay, are people awake? Are they seeing what's going on? How's their discernment? And sometimes I'm discouraged. And sometimes I'm like, we got them. Nobody wants these vaccines, or nobody wants these masks, or nobody, I don't know. Just give me a grade. Do you think, is the culture ready to do a 180, to flip the pop machine all the other way, and to really stand on principles? Because it feels like we're dropping principles off as quickly as possible. We're left with nothing. I don't know. Your thoughts there?
To me, no, we're not ready. I think it's in order to leave our comfort, right? And this isn't us, this is everybody. Once you lead up to a certain level of luxury, to give that, I discounted the power of comfort. When people get comfort, boy, you threaten taking that away. A lot of people lacking integrity will fold like a lawn chair, and they just will, right? So has it hurt that bad? No, it hasn't. I thought there was a line in the country. I thought it was our kids. That's not true. That's not true. Like if we talk about abortion and what's going on in our public schools, I don't know what's worse, them doing it or us allowing it, right? So there is some accountability going on there. So I think it's going to have to hurt a lot more. In one regard, I'm thankful for COVID, because it exposed a lot of things. Donald Trump, whatever you think about him, pro-life, whatever, he is the way forward right now. But this is what I loved about it. He proved to the world, when he cut the puppet strings and ran across the room, it freaked everybody out.
Yes.
The establishment was like, oh no, now they know. And now we know, right? Now what we do with that is a whole different thing. So if I could plug the book real quick.
I want to get into it. Yes.
The Return of Man. America's only hope is our original hope. Now you're going to grab that and think, oh, you mean men, like returning is no, I mean Christ, right? Yeah. So through the book, we talk about it and we say, well, what is our only hope? It's us doing our stinking job. It's the thing that was an absolute blessing of being a provider and a protector and all of these things for our family. And we would rather have the back rub. It's okay there, little fella. No, it's not, man. So like, we just talked about this morning with my group, and I'm teaching a class called Ignition at Brave Church. Every people are local every Tuesday up until Christmas, 6:30. Be there at every church. Get in here, right? Let's talk about what we can do and ignite those guys and plug them in. But that's exactly the thing that we're trying to do, is create this movement that is much needed. So for men to go back and do their job, this is what came up this morning, is that when somebody shares something, you're in a group and it's a small group, and they say, yeah, I cheated my wife and I beat up my kid, and then you start crying and a guy puts his hand and prays for you, gives you a back rub. You're like, don't touch him. It should sting, right? We're men. Let it sting, and I hope it hurts back. But now say true words is like, hey, brother, we can give that to Christ right now, and we can keep, right? And I'm here with you, and you're not alone. But we've had this coddled back rub kind of deal. So we even just did this out there. Don't touch him. Leave him. Like, let's go hold his hand. Let's gather around. No, let it sting. Why? Because you're not supposed to cheat on your wife. You're not supposed to beat your kid. You let it sting, and I hope it hurts bad. But this ain't the end. And let's find the way out. There's only one. Let's head to Jesus. Right?
You're so right. There's only one way out. It's 1 Corinthians 10:13. Nothing is not unbearable. It's not unique to you. There's a pathway out. Okay, you got to follow me. But you're so right. Like, you sometimes need that experience that is so cementing in your life. And that's what it is, bawling and crying and come to the realization, you did this, you screwed up, you own every bit of it. Now, here's the beauty about Christ. We can turn this into something glorious right now. Are you willing to be fully obedient? Are you willing to destroy your own old ways? And so you're right on it. It's the temperature that the man needs, the confidence, the brotherhood that says, no, we're men. We're not supposed to be we're leading our wives the way the Bible instructs us to. We're not deferring to her on employment, and our wife is working and we're at home with the kids. I mean, we got to undo all of that stuff because it's put men in a passive capacity. We're saying break through, men, because this is the moment right now. For your children, this is the moment right now. When can we expect the books and details and ordering, and how does all that line up? How's it coming?
So as far as the How Do You Love a Fish by Christmas, I'm hoping the same thing for The Return of Man. I'm really hoping. So we'll see. And again, that is not, people think The Return of Man, so Jimmy's going to tell us what man is. No, he's not. I just went out and asked God, and he gave me an answer.
Yes.
But I would tell you this, what I thought it was at 25 is way different than what I believe at 50. But before, I never thought to ask God. I just chased a bunch of things. And I'll tell you this, going to the SEAL teams, going to the CIA, being a bodyguard overseas, Benghazi, Libya, all that stuff. And you know what I found? Every step along the way was broken men. Every step, right? So now I look at it differently and say, men are doing weak things to make them feel strong. And that's no comparison to strength. If you really want to be strong, there's a way to get that way. If you really want to be good, if you really want to be a man, and the answer's in there, it's just, what is a man? You're already a man. If you're born a male and you're 18 years old, you're a man. And people needed to hear that. They're like, I felt like when men were talking, I felt like the kid in the room. No, you're a man. So own. But what's a strong man? A man with integrity. What's a good man? A godly man that pursues Christ and makes disciples that does the same. Doesn't get any better than that. Now the conversation's over. Now it gets some work done. Get all that guilt. Now we're back to the truth. Let's get to it.
So, folks, you're going to want to jump on this, get to this. Tell us all the ways to connect with you, Jimmy. How can we follow your work? We want to stay and support it. Tell us how to do it.
Yeah, thank you. So the most direct, ableshepherd.com for the business. And I say it this way. If you want to find out about that business of being a protector and doing all the training, then absolutely. If you want to see our heart, go to YouTube under Able Shepherd and kind of watch the things we're doing. Patreon under Able Shepherd, and then Jimmy Graham on my personal Facebook, because I'm sharing devotions. Again, once you identify what the true problem is, you start reading the Bible and you start doing it in front of a camera, because one of your brothers on the other side of the country or world needs it. And then you'll hear like, hey man, I really needed what you said Wednesday. I don't even remember what I said Wednesday. Right. God spoke through me and it pulled you out of a pit. Why wouldn't I do it? So that's exactly what we got going on those platforms.
It's breakthrough stuff. It's freedom stuff. It's the stuff men need. And it just kind of let go, man. The pressure's off. It all goes to Christ now, so you can get to work. Jimmy, I want to stay connected with you. I'm so excited for November. I'm so excited to see men step up to the plate when we need them the most. And then it's not over then, because we still got a lot of work to do from there. So we'll always stay, connected and supporting truly God's servant type work that you're doing at Able Shepherd. I want to thank you. And that class at Brave sounds really good too. They're going to connect with you. And folks, do this until next time. Serve God, help others, stay good. Goodbye. God bless everybody.
The Matthew Dark Show, your one-stop show for truth, courage, fellowship, and faith. Available everywhere you get your podcasts.